Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming back. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hi, Scott. I'm doing well. This podcast is going to be a little bit different, and I'm feeling how it's going to be different.
Oh, okay. Ooh, that's interesting. I will let you. Well, I'll let the cat out of the bag. This is what we're doing. We figured that our audience would benefit from hearing our stories.
Yes.
And you have a really important story to tell, because I think it's a story that others, people listening to this podcast will say, that was me, I felt that way. You used to have a paralyzing anxiety about speaking, right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Go back and tell us, before you became a coach, before you overcame this, what was that like, or what was going on?
This paralyzing fear of speaking, it happened when I entered the corporate world and having to present, give updates, provide briefings in front of peers and leaders and executive leaders. I would freak out, Scott. I would have this unbearable anxiety. I wouldn't sleep for nights. It was consuming. It was consuming me. And I knew that I knew I had to give in and fix it, because if I'm going to stay in the corporate environment, you give presentations. That is part of the package. And so I knew I had to do something to overcome that fear so that I could grow.
Well, was there like a time where it suddenly hit you and you said, I got to do something about this?
Yes.
What was that time like?
This was about 12 or 13 years ago. I was sitting in a room, a large conference room with about 15 colleagues and leadership. And out of nowhere, my leader said, Jennifer, I need you to stand up and give a presentation around XYZ. It completely caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't told ahead of time. And I ran to the bathroom. I was physically sick. I did not know how I was possibly going to do it. I did it. I got up in front of the group and I probably blacked out. I don't remember anything I said. I'm sure I blacked and blocked it all out. And that was the turning point for me, when I realized I don't ever want to be in that situation again. Yeah. I need to be prepared.
So what did you do after that to begin making progress?
Well, it's interesting. The same leader that called me out and said, hey, I need you to give that presentation, is the same leader who called me one day and said, Jen, I have an opening on my team for a sales trainer, and I want you to apply for it. And I said, you are out of your mind. I can't even give a 5-minute briefing. You think I'm going to teach 2-day workshops? And she had this undeniable belief in my capabilities, and I applied and I got it. Yeah. And that's what I did for 10 years in corporate, was mastering and practicing these skills as a corporate trainer, facilitator, and coach for a decade. And
was there a first step besides being thrown in there, you allowed yourself, you said yes to this position, which meant you were going to have to speak and you were going to have to speak in front of groups. How did you muddle through? Was this all self-taught? Did you get help?
It was self-taught.
Yeah.
I was given a facilitator guide. You know what a facilitator guide is, Scott?
I've run across one or two in my time.
And this is a 2-day workshop I'm having to teach right out of the gate. This facilitator guide was probably 75 pages worth of content. I stayed up morning and night, and I took every piece of content I was going to have to speak to, and I put everything in a separate document. So I reorganized the facilitator guide to what I was going to need to speak about.
Yeah.
And that helped me to process the content, understand it. I think that's the key when presenting or facilitating is, do you truly understand what you are talking about? Because if you truly get that piece, then you can speak to it.
I want to hear about this transition then from being sort of a facilitator where you're given content to being a coach where you're kind of thinking up and providing the content. There isn't a book for that, right? There isn't a guide. How did you make that transition?
Well, my last corporate job, all I did was facilitate.
Mm-hmm.
That was my work. And so I knew I had to be the best at it. And I was committed 200% to give and teach the best workshops that I could.
Mm-hmm.
And my participants, my audiences, they saw that. And Scott, it was the feedback that I would receive from my participants for years teaching these workshops. That is what built my confidence to go out and start my coaching business, because I heard and let me remind you, I had very low self-confidence when I started in this role. Sure. Extremely low, a ton of self-doubt. I would beat myself up. It was horrible. However, the more I would hear from my audience, oh my gosh, you have a natural ability and you have a way to bring us in. The compliments over and over, it built my self-esteem. And then I had one of the executives say, I would pay to hire you to give me one-on-one. And I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe that's it.
Make it a business.
That's where I'm going to take this skill set. It's truly a skill set that you learn and you practice. And I'll tell you that the reason why I have pushed forward with these skills, the communication skills, Scott, this is why I think this is so critical for everyone, is that there is something special about each of us. And that is, we all have our own story. Every single one of us has a unique story apart from every single other person in this world. I mean, that's so powerful. And don't we want to be able to communicate our stories and our ideas and our passions in a way that captivates people?
Yeah.
Because it's through our communication skills that we're able to stir passion and inspiration in people. It's how we build trust, and it's how we can also add value into other people's lives. So that is why I am highly passionate about communication skills, because it's how we can give value and inspiration to other people.
Yeah, and you can't let fear stop you.
No, because then we're not giving our gift.
If we could knock it down to those people out there who go, oh my God, I'm at that stage where I want to, maybe most of the people that are listening probably speak publicly, but I'm sure some of them are almost paralyzed. What's the advice?
If you can find a situation that you can put yourself in that's going to force you to practice these skills. It doesn't mean you're going to go out and apply for a sales trainer job.
or to be a speaking coach.
You may not take it that far. However, oh my gosh, you really want to become a masterful communicator and presenter, take a job that's going to force you to get out. And then there are other resources, Toastmasters. There are other groups that recognize the importance of these skills, and they also recognize the potential fear that can play into it as well. So I would say that that's my last piece around this is get yourself out of your comfort comfort zone and put yourself in situations where you have to learn communication skills.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thanks for asking, Scott.
No,
that was
super
fun.
Cool. What are we talking about next week?
Well, next week is your turn. And you shared with me what you're going to be talking about next week. And I can't wait for our listeners to hear it, because this is something that you only learned 3 years ago, and it has made such a huge change in your life.
It's not, I was scared and I overcame my fear. This story was the way I think about speaking, changed pretty profoundly, and it's
really cool.
Affected what I do. I mean, it's really my whole business. So we'll share that next week. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you,
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next week.